All right, in fact, that's where we start with that important meeting. Heads of state, a meeting in Tanzania this weekend for the SADC-EAC meeting or summit on the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The conflict that continues to rage on there. President Cyril Ramaphosa left South Africa earlier today to attend that summit. Let's cross now live to SABC News Correspondent Isaac Lukando, who is, of course, in Dar es Salaam. Isaac, a very good morning to you. Thanks indeed for your time. We're expecting these heads of state, of course, primarily, most importantly, to touch on the current situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is as the repatriation process, of course, continues for the 14 South African soldiers that were killed in the east of that country. What's the latest from there?
Well, it's been a very interesting morning. We have been trying to get our hands on information on who was attending this summit today. And I'm talking in particular about the top leaders of the member states in the SADC community as well as the East African community. And earlier on, after seeing the arrival of the Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo, there was some assumption, especially with chatter online, that perhaps Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the DRC, was snubbing this particular summit. But it turns out that he is attending virtually. Actually, this particular meeting of heads of state has begun about 15 to 20 minutes ago. And in attendance, we have of Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda. We have seen the President of Kenya, who is the chair of the EAC. We've seen President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe as the chairperson of SADC, the President of Somalia. But also, interestingly, we have seen a lot of representatives from SADC countries as well as other EAC countries being represented by foreign ministers as opposed to the presidents. Interestingly, we did not see in the auditorium the South African president, and in his stead is the international relations minister. Perhaps it could be a question of a delayed arrival. At this point, we're not very sure. But the eyes of many were upon whether Paul Kagame and Felix Tshisekedi will be in attendance at the summit, and it appears that both of them are in attendance, although one of them is attending virtually.
Isaac, just to bring you up to speed with that a bit earlier on, SABC News International editor Sophie Mukwena had tweeted a video of South Africa's president en route to that meeting. So I'm sure you might get a glimpse of him later on. But having said that, I guess many will be watching if there could be a fly on the wall inside that summit, what the reaction or the facial expressions, if I may, would be of the two presidents, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, following the diplomatic spats that we've seen take place. Owing to what we have seen in just the last 20 minutes of the summit, it has been, introductions and the national anthems of Tanzania, East Africa, SADC being sung, but nothing more tells us about the exact mood. You just see flat faces. I think there is a lot of anticipation, especially from the public, not only here in Tanzania, but also in other parts of East Africa and the rest of SADC, to see how this summit will unfold, and particularly to receive the deliberations of yesterday's meeting. The EAC Secretariat had shared that one of the things that was discussed during the ministerial meeting yesterday was how the EAC and SADC could work together, in line with what the chairperson of the EAC had said, that both the SADC and EAC have to work together, and shouldn't be each community bringing different ideas, but how can both communities work together to help find a resolution for the DRC. So it will be very interesting to see how this pans out and how we hear these resolutions today. Yeah, is there any hope from what you're hearing on the ground that, we're talking about a long-standing
volatility in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Is there any hope that this meeting would bring about any solution? This is not the first time, of course, that there's been condemnation of what has been taking place. Any hope from what you're hearing that this might yield any different results?
Well, the very fact that President Felix Tshisekedi is attending, albeit virtually, and President Paul Kagame is also attending in person is a step in and of itself, because as you may be well aware, the past few times they've tried to meet, it hasn't panned out. One of them has been missing, or the other attends and the other one is missing. And of course it has been attributed to a sense of mistrust within the EAC, and hence this particular meeting that has sown perhaps some seeds of trust, having SADC there and the EAC to be able to create an environment for both of them, both of these leaders to iron out their differences, and for the greater East Africa as well as the SADC region to be able to contribute to finding solutions for the Democratic Republic of Congo. So yes, it comes on the backdrop of a tense atmosphere between the two leaders, but the very fact that they are there perhaps offers hope that perhaps something might come out of this meeting, and if anything, at least some confidence building measures.
All right, Isaac Lukando, thank you very much indeed. Live to us from Dar es Salaam. Of course, that's where heads of state are meeting in Tanzania this weekend for the SADC East Africa Community Summit on the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo conflict there.